Care and maintenance of tools is an essential part of live line maintenance. Proper care of tools will not only give longer tool life, but will result in greater safety and therefore a more confident lineman. This videotape has 9 segments: storage and transportation of live line tools and protective equipment, inspection of live line tools, removal of dust and the application of silicone wax to live line tools, removal of light contamination using a cleaning solution, refinishing a hot stick with heavy contamination, repairing surface damage on a hot stick, replacing a ferrule on a hot stick, replacing a push button on a telescoping hot stick, replacing an operating rod guide on a grip-all clamp stick, use of a hot stick tester. 1. Storage and transportation of live line tools and protective equipment. When transporting hot line tools from one location to another, containers such as protective bags should be provided, which will prevent damage to the surfaces of the individual tools. Alternately, tools should be mounted on racks in trailers. These racks should be well padded and constructed so that tools are held firmly in place in order to prevent damage to them. Care should be taken to keep all tools and protective equipment away from heat sources such as radiators and steam pipes. It is also recommended that they not be stored in the direct rays of the sun. One of the most important factors in the care of hotline tools is to keep them dry. Tools should never be laid on the ground. They should be kept in a truck or tool trailer until ready for use, then placed upon a tool rack near the groundman. If it is necessary to lay a tool on the ground, a clean, dry tarpaulin should be spread to prevent the tools from contacting the ground. Let's say that again. Keep tools dry. 2. Inspection of live line tools, removal of dust, and the application of silicone wax to live line tools. Examine each tool regularly for indications that it may have been overstressed. This type of damage is evidenced by bent or cracked parts. Bent rivets or bolts are signs that ferrules have been pulled away from their original positions and have damaged the handle. Check metal parts of the tools for excessive wear and other visible damage. Make sure there are no cracks between the tool end and the hot stick. Weakened parts may break even when supporting a load considerably lower than that for which the tool was designed. If there is any doubt about a tool's condition, it should be thoroughly tested before being used. Here is a typical tool repair kit. It contains silicone wiping cloths, a pair of rubber protective gloves, abrasive pads for cleaning heavy contamination off hot sticks, and a gallon of cleaning solution which has the trade name Moisture Eater. Material for reglossing and repairing damaged hot sticks is also in the kit, and these will be shown later in this videotape. As you are aware, any contamination, especially moisture, on hot line equipment impairs its insulating ability. Therefore, most line crews have the groundman wipe the hot stick clean with a silicone impregnated cloth immediately before use. Silicone wiping cloths are used to remove light, dry surface dust. A cloth is wiped over the tool's insulating sections and the surface is gently buffed. The cloth picks up and retains dust and at the same time deposits a thin, protective silicone coating. This protective finish makes it more difficult for contamination to adhere to the tool and causes moisture to bead up. In order to retain a complete, uniform silicone coating on the hot sticks, after approximately 10 wipe downs, tools should be thoroughly cleaned using a cleaner. They are then wiped with silicone wiping cloths. If contamination cannot be removed with a silicone wiping cloth, then a clean cloth and a cleaning solution will have to be used. Three, removal of light contamination using a cleaning solution. The cleaning solution moisture eater can be used on all tools during general tool maintenance. It removes a wide variety of contamination, such as dirt, tar, grease, tree sap, and light metal rubbings, without harm to the finish on the hot stick. It is recommended that rubber gloves be worn when using this cleaner, as it does take the moisture off your hands and the oil out of your skin. Moisture eater is flame retardant. We will attempt to light moisture eater with a match. You will observe that there is a small flame. Then the flame extinguishes itself. Even when a lighted match is dropped into the moisture eater, there is a flare, but then the flame again extinguishes itself. You should never use a cleaner that is abrasive, as this would scratch the finish. Once the finish is scratched, it's easy for contamination to stay on the stick. Also, some cleaners may leave a coating of conductive residue on the surface, which could cause a tracking problem. There are many materials made for cleaning live-line tools. It is recommended you contact the manufacturer of your tools to get their recommendation as to the type of cleaner to use. Hot sticks with light contamination, that is, with no surface abrasions, scrapes, chips, or gloss damage, may be cleaned quickly and completely with the cleaning solution. Briskly rub a cloth soaked in moisture eater over all insulating surfaces until the contamination is dissolved and removed. Add more cleaner to the cloth as it evaporates. Moisture eater eats or encapsulates any moisture on the stick. This is important, as a major problem in cleaning live-line tools is the removal of moisture. To show that moisture eater absorbs water, here, water is added to moisture eater. You can see the moisture eater discoloring, and then, as the water is absorbed into the moisture eater, it gradually clears up. When moisture eater has absorbed too much water, it stays discolored and should be discarded. To remove the last traces of contamination, we now complete the cleaning operation with a clean cloth soaked in fresh moisture eater. When the cleaner has evaporated, tools should be wiped with a silicone wiping cloth to protect against further contamination. Rubber blankets and line hose can be cleaned with moisture eater. Here is a rubber hose being cleaned with moisture eater. And you can see the contamination is easily removed. Rubber goods should not be put away when wet and dirty. Remove oil or grease immediately from protective equipment. Here is a look at the finished job. It is not necessary to clean protective covers before every use. However, they should be visually inspected and any contamination should be removed. Here we see an ABS insulating cover. This insulating cover should be cleaned only with a mild detergent and water. Once it is cleaned, it is rinsed to get all residue off. All other polyethylene hard covers, rubber protective equipment, and jumper cables can be cleaned with moisture eater. To repeat, all contamination must be removed from hot line equipment to ensure it retains full insulating value. 4. Refinishing a hot stick with heavy contamination. If contamination cannot be removed with cleaning solution, then abrasive pads will have to be used and the tool refinished. Poles need to be completely refinished when the glossy surface is damaged. Here we see a tool with heavy contamination and scratches on the surface. Abrasive cleaning pads are used in conjunction with moisture eater to remove contamination that clings to the tool or contamination ground into scars and scuffs on the tool's surface. These pads may also be used on metal parts to remove oxides and surface corrosion. The abrasive pad acts like sandpaper on the pole and removes the glossy finish as well as any ground-in contamination. The glossy finish on the surface must be completely removed, as it is difficult for the new finish to adhere to a smooth surface. To repeat, any time an abrasive pad is used on a hot stick, the complete tool should be refinished. Since moisture eater evaporates quickly, frequent reapplication to the pad is necessary. Here we see the pole with its finish removed. Once the finish is removed, to remove any last traces of contamination, wipe the pole down with a clean cloth saturated with fresh moisture eater. It is now ready for refinishing. There is no drying time. You can see the pole ready for refinishing, and you will note the dull finish across the surface. We will now use a gloss restorer kit to put a new finish on the pole. Gloss restorer must be used whenever abrasive cleaning measures are performed on hot sticks. The gloss restorer in this kit is similar to the original gloss finish applied at the factory and forms a chemical bond to the surface. The kit comes equipped with two materials, which, when mixed, combine to form a coating that has high impact strength, electrical and ultraviolet resistance. Equal parts of these two tins are poured into a jar and mixed. The new coating replaces the original gloss and protects against contamination and moisture. The lineman should follow the recommendations of the manufacturer of his hotline tool. This ensures the coating is the same as the original factory coating on the hot stick. The gloss restorer can now be applied to the pole. You could use a paintbrush, but it is recommended a clean, lint-free cloth be used, which installs a more uniform coating over the surface of the stick. You want a thin coating because a heavy coat will take too long to cure. The stick should be kept dust-free for 10 minutes and then left to cure for 24 hours before using. Here is the finished job. You will observe that there is a uniform shine across the pole from one end to the other. 5. Repairing surface damage on a hot stick. We are now going to use a bond patching kit to repair the damaged portion of a pole. Here is a pole with a hole in it. First, we use the abrasive pad and moisture eater to smooth the rough edges around the edge of the injury. This ensures the repair adheres to the pole. Surface ruptures on insulating surfaces caused by misuse should be repaired as soon as discovered. Here is a look at the damaged area after it has been cleaned. It is important to ensure that the bond patching kit you use is the one put out by the manufacturer of your hotline tool. This ensures the repair is of the same quality as the original tool. This particular bond patching kit comes equipped with two tubes. One is epoxy and one is hardener. We squeeze out equal lengths. And thoroughly mix them with a wooden paddle. The epoxy is now applied to the damaged area, making sure it completely fills the void. Again, it takes 24 hours for drying. Then the pole will have to be refinished, as we did in the previous demonstration. Once the damaged portion is filled, wipe off the excess epoxy with moisture eater. Then wrap the damaged area with cellophane tape. This will give you a smoother surface without the necessity of filing. To repeat, if you don't refinish the whole pole, there is always a point where the old finish and the new finish overlap, and there is liable to be chipping in that area. You get a much cleaner and neater looking pole if you refinish the complete tool. Six, replacing a ferrule on a hot stick. We will now demonstrate how to put a new end on a hot stick. Here is a damaged pole. We will cut off the damaged end and install a new ferrule. First, using a hacksaw, we cut the hot stick below the damaged area. This pole had a plug in the end, therefore a new plug must be poured. These plugs are used for added tensile or cantilever strength. Be sure the plug is 1 inch longer than the ferrule. Failure to do this will reduce tensile strength and the cantilever loading ability of the hot stick. First, we measure the inside depth of the ferrule. Now, a knife is used to remove the foam in the center of the pole. Hole depth is measured. More foam is cut away. Here is a close-up of the end of the pole with the foam cut away. The pole is placed in a vertical position in the vise. To mix the plug, we use a plug kit as per the manufacturer's instructions. Liquid from 2 tins is poured into a tray and stirred. Then some powder called glass beads is added and stirred until there are no lumps. More powder is added as required and stirred to obtain a smooth and consistent putty-like material that can be poured. The hole is completely filled. After a 24-hour curing time, we can install the ferrule. An abrasive cleaning pad is used to remove the finish on the area that will be inserted into the new ferrule. This ensures a good bond between the ferrule and the pole. After removing the finish, use cleaning solution to clean the pole end. Using the bond patching kit, equal lengths of material are squeezed out and thoroughly mixed. We use the paddle to cover the end of the stick and the area that was sanded. We get a nice smooth coating over the complete surface. We now put a coating on the inside surface of the butt ring ferrule. And then put the fitting onto the pole using a turning motion to ensure a good, complete bond. Most of the surplus epoxy is cleaned off with a paddle. Now take cleaning solution and a cloth and wipe off any remaining epoxy. The pole is now repositioned in the vise. An electric drill is used to drill a hole in the pole, and a pin is driven in. Another hole is drilled, and a second pin is driven in on the opposite side of the first pin. Here is the finished tool, and it will be ready for use after a 24-hour drying time. 7. Replacing a push button on a telescoping hot stick. If the push button in a telescoping hot stick should break, it can be easily replaced. On this particular stick, there is a cap held on by 3 screws. The 3 screws are taken out, the attachment is taken off the top, and the telescoping inner part is pushed out of the outer cover. The telescoping inner part is then removed, and here are 2 small pins that hold the plastic button stop in. Using a hammer and a punch, we remove them. The push button mechanism is now taken out, and here is the new button and spring that will be inserted. Make sure you have the right spring and button, as there are different sizes for different tube diameters. The push button and spring are inserted, now the 2 pins are reinserted and tapped flush. The telescoping part is pushed back into the main outside portion of the stick. The button pops out, and you can see that it is working properly. The end cap with 3 screws is now reinstalled, and here is the finished job. 8. Replacing an operating rod guide on a grip-all clamp stick. Previously, if you had to replace a grip-all guide, the handle and the rack bar had to be removed. With this new type of guide, first, the new guide is cut down the middle in the wide portion of the guide using a hacksaw. Now the grip-all is placed in a vise. You will observe that each time the vise is used to hold a hot stick, a piece of rubber is used between the vise and the stick to prevent damage. The screw which attaches the operating rod to the handle is now removed. The rivets are firmly grasped with a cutter, and by twisting the cutter, you can remove the rivet. The rivet on the other side is removed. The damaged guide is cut lengthwise through the narrow portion of the guide, being careful not to cut the hot stick. The damaged guide is now removed. The new guide is slipped onto the hot stick and the operating rod placed through the new guide to ensure that all guides line up properly. The screw that holds the operating rod to the handle is replaced. A hole is drilled through the new guide. A two-part captive screw is placed in the hole and tightened. The grip-all is now ready for use. Nine, use of a hot stick tester. Here is a hot stick tester that can be used by the lineman to check the insulating capacity of hot sticks. This tester requires no specialized skill to operate. It is not dangerous to the user and will not damage a hot stick that has absorbed excessive moisture. All types and sizes of hot sticks, up to 3 inches in diameter, can be tested on this unit. This tester measures leakage current through the test area, checking both the inside and outside surface of the hot stick. Thus, the tester is responsive to surface moisture and any conductive matter that could be on the inside of the pole. To operate, step 1, plug in and turn on. Step 2, adjust the needle so it lines up with the calibration mark. Step 3, insert a stick that checks in the fail area to ensure that the meter is working. The test stick supplied with this meter has a wire in the center for its entire length. This ensures it fails, and we know the tester is operating properly. Step 4, hold the checker over the section of the stick you wish to check and observe the reading. Step 5, slowly rotate the stick 360 degrees while observing the reading. Step 6, repeat for each section you wish to test. This particular stick is testing as acceptable for use. Some utilities require that hotline tools be sent to a central test location for periodic checking. The lineman should ensure that the requirements of his utility are known and observed. Utilities may require that records of testing be kept. Let's review some key points from this videotape. 1. Store tools in a clean, dry location away from excessive heat. 2. During storage and transportation, tools should be kept in containers or on racks. 3. Hotline tools should be kept dry. Do not put hotline tools on the ground. 4. Inspect all tools and equipment before use. 5. All contamination must be removed from hotline equipment before use. 6. If a hot stick checker is available, use it. 7. Qualified personnel can make minor repairs to hotline tools. For example, refinishing, repairing surface damage, replacing ferrules, and replacing push buttons and operating guides. Be sure you read and follow manufacturer's instructions regarding the use of repair kits. This completes our demonstration of care and maintenance of hotline tools performed by the lineman.